Hello, my Vibe Tribe. Happy Monday. How is everybody's Monday so far? Well, I guess depending on where you're at, you're just starting it, or you're towards the end of it. But either way, I hope everyone's having a wonderful Monday. And if you're just starting your day, I hope you have a wonderful Monday. We are here for Monday stuff. Monday stuff. It's Monday. I'm just holding on a little tight here, waiting for a few people to pop on. There's one. I don't know who it is, but there's one. We got one. I did pull a mindful message card and a rebel deck card just because I know everybody loves a rebel deck, and I really should just start from the top and go all the way through like we did with the affirmations deck behind me originally. That's kind of what started the Daily Vibe, actually. But good morning, baby sibling. But yeah, I think I should do that. That way we can go through the whole deck, right? And see what's up. So maybe that's what we'll do. So starting today, I won't shuffle. And then we'll just see what we got every single day. So, sorry. I blew my nose and apparently I have Kleenex lint on me. So anyways, sorry about that. It's Monday. Monday stuff. So let's just get going. Today is also day 14 of 30 Days of Self-Love. I hope you've been able to catch the weekend edition of the special weekend edition of the Daily Vibe, so we can stay consistent with everything that's going through. And good morning, Sammy. Sammy, did I say good morning already? I don't know. Good morning, Sammy. Oh, my brain. I did not sleep well last night. I mean, when I slept hard, but sleeping has become a problem, apparently. I gotta retrain my brain. So, anyways, you don't need to know all that, right? I don't care how you're sleeping. But there are some things. One of the things I wanted to talk to you first and foremost is I read an article this weekend from Lisa Taddeo. I think that's how you say her name. And it was titled, "I am angry at my history of apology." And to me, it kind of reminds me of what we talked about, you living your own vision of who you want to be, not somebody else's. And in a way, to kind of sum up the article, it felt like she was living somebody else's vision, like, oh, why am I sorry? And a lot of it was, so I think I'm really trying to figure out how to articulate this because I don't want to offend anyone, but it really was from the standpoint of a woman. Like, why are we always apologizing for the things that we do, but men don't have to? That really kind of hit home because it does kind of feel that way sometimes. It's like, we sit there and say, oh, well, I'm sorry I'm late. But if a guy's late, nobody seems to give a shit, right? So, Randy always pops on, and I have no idea what the emojis are supposed to be, but thank you. So, they're just kind of like, what? But anyways, good morning. But yeah, it's just, she talked about how, she was on her way to see her mom, who was dying of cancer, and the cab driver, because I think she was in New York or New Jersey, one of the two, just kind of under his breath said, oh, just made a very derogatory term about a woman herself. And he had no idea why she was in such a rush to get there. He just assumed that she was being like an anal retentive woman. And instead, she was trying to get to her mom, who was sick. And so it took her a lot longer because there just, words ensued. And the guy was just, I don't understand why some people just diminish the presence of a woman. I'm not saying everybody, but there are some countries where, women are still so far behind from what we have. I mean, if you think you have it bad, try going to a country where you are really not seen as anything more than a breeding machine. Okay? And it's not meant to be mean. I know cultures are different. Like I said, I don't want to veer out of my lane. I want to stay in my own lane. But let's think about that. I find myself that I'm apologizing. I apologize a lot on the Daily Vibe. I apologize a lot. And for stuff, I mean, like what? Oh, sorry, I dropped an F-bomb. Well, it's me, I was watching a interview with Judi Dench this weekend, and somebody asked her what her favorite swear word was, and she's all, "I like them all." She's all, "I use them all quite liberally, actually." And I'm all like, you know what? Good for you. Okay, so I'm not going to apologize anymore for my mouth. My mouth is my mouth. Good morning, Eileen. And it is what it is. I mean, I don't swear all the time, but on occasion I do. And I just drop one here or there. And it's not intended to offend anyone. It's not intended to shock anyone. It's just part of my makeup. It's part of my being. And I don't want to apologize anymore for being who I am. I've apologized for myself my entire life. I've apologized for some of the things I've said on here because, I was worried I might step into the wrong lane, or, like I said, I don't like to veer out because I don't want to lose anybody. I really try to stay as centered into everybody's beliefs as possible because, it's like I said, I mean, I don't want to steer into other people's lanes because, I don't want to tread on other people's beliefs. Everybody has their own belief. Everyone is allowed to have their own belief. But again, sometimes I like to share, and I do like to point out that I don't like to leave my lane very often because I don't want to lose people. I want people to stay and hear the message. Good morning, Debbie Hall. And I really want them to zero in on what the message is about, not what the context might be. Okay. So, but again, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on not apologizing for things unless it's an actual apology that is necessary. If you screw with someone and you're being a total dick, then you should apologize. But I find a lot of times, like just this morning, it's like, sorry, I'm like this. I didn't get a lot of sleep. Well, why am I sorry? I mean, you're all joining me for one reason or the other. So even Sammy says she has trouble sleeping. So, I promise you I'm going to work on that. I'm always getting on Sibling for apologizing she'll apologize if the clouds are out. Okay? She really will. I mean, it's like, it's not your fault that, and sometimes people are just saying I'm sorry because they're empathizing. So you really have to know the difference between when someone's empathizing or someone's really kind of saying, I'm so sorry. And a lot of times she is empathizing, but a lot of times it's like, just the look on her face, there's so much sadness behind her sorry. It's like, it's not your fault. It's okay. And it's like, I know you're empathizing, but you don't have to go to the nth degree of empathizing because it's like, it just happens. Good morning, Ladina. So yeah, I really, and I think we can all work on it together. Now, I realize the article, which I will post in the comments, is from a woman's point of view. But, if you're a guy, just read it anyways, because I know women aren't the only one that these things happen to. She talked about walking through the store with her kids and people looking at her if she, just scolds her kid in front of these people. But I see that happen to men too, and I see it happen, and you hear people sometimes say, oh, well, obviously he doesn't take care of the kids very often. No, kids have tantrums, and they are not scheduled, okay? I have nephews. I know this, all right? And they're good kids, but they're kids, okay? They're kids, so give people a break, all right? If you're not a parent or you've never been a parent, don't you be judging other people walking down the aisle, okay? Because it's not your place. I mean, if it's bad and it looks bad, then maybe concern yourself. But 9 times out of 10, actually usually 10 out of 10 times, but the occasional 11 being a, 911 alert, people are they know how to handle their kids. They don't need your 2 cents. They don't need your input. They don't need your eye rolls. They certainly don't need your side commentary. So just leave them be. And if someone wants to let their kid cry it out, let them cry it out. Okay? You don't like it? Walk away. Okay, it's not your problem. You're not sitting there having to listen to the kid because, this kid is also going to go into the car. So, again, let's try not to judge. I think a lot of times, the way we judge one another is why we feel like we have to apologize so much. I mean, I'm not perfect, okay? I say that all the time. In fact, I think we all get that way, especially when we're all hurting in our own way. We just kind of, and see, look, I'm all fidgety, so, I'm just kind of having one of those mornings where it's just, but I'm not going to apologize for it. It's just how I am, I get fidgety when I get nervous or I have anxiety. And I didn't really think I had anxiety, but I'm going to kind of use that as my segue into the next thing. So this was a quote I saw that was posted on Facebook, or not Facebook, on Twitter by Dr. Ashley, but the quote is unknown. It literally says unknown on the quote. But it says, maybe you're not healing. Oh, so before I segue into this, well, I guess I kind of segued into this. Never mind. My brain. So anyways, this weekend and the last couple, probably the last week, I have been steadily going downhill. And this weekend, I hit bottom, and I felt lost. I felt alone, even with sibling around trying to help me. I felt lost. I felt alone. I felt like my whole life was one big apology, and that's why I literally read that article that I was just telling you about in tears, because everything about it hit home. Everything about it just really kind of touched me in my feels. And I realized, and I was at such a low point, and I realized sometimes that you have to spiral. And, her whole point of the comment was sometimes we're trying to be somebody that doesn't exist anymore. But actually, let me read the quote and I'll get back to that. Maybe you're not healing because you're trying to be who you were before the trauma. That person doesn't exist anymore because there is a new you trying to be reborn. Breathe life into that person. So again, maybe you're not healing because you're trying to be who you were before the trauma. That person doesn't exist anymore because there is a new you trying to be reborn. Breathe life into that person. I usually don't go here. I try not to because I don't want to trigger people. I figure we've talked about it enough. My trauma started so young that I don't know who I was before that. I wasn't anyone before that. I was a child. And so I think this weekend, I felt so lost, and I felt so, I literally felt, here comes another Batman reference, I literally felt like Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins when he's at the bottom of the well before his father comes down to pull him out, right? And he had broken his arm, and all that stuff. And yeah, Debbie Hall says it's hard, but so good for you. And it really is. Doing my shadow work, which is basically going in and just cleaning out all the muck and ick and all that stuff. It was hard. It was heartbreaking too. And it was painful. I mean, I would have rather laid on a bed of nails. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty damn painful. But again, I don't know who I was before that. I'm doing pretty good. I actually thought I'd be crying by now, because this weekend when I thought about what I wanted to talk about today, I was just kind of really all over the place. My trauma started when I was very, very young. My parents never knew about it. Nobody ever knew about it because I was groomed very young. And so I was pretty much growing up living two lives. This person who was going through all this stuff, and then this person that my parents and everybody else and all my friends knew. And, we didn't know what the signs were back then. I mean, I was an only child. I was very shy anyways. So I think a lot of times when I seemed withdrawn or just, wanted to be alone or whatever, it just kind of typified only child syndrome, right? Because you're just kind of like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And you kind of learn how to do your own thing as an only child. But I think that helped to mask what I was going through. And, and then when I got older and I realized that these things weren't my fault, and then I had the hard conversations with my parents who I had to remind them that this wasn't their fault. That those are the hard questions. I had a sibling and I took a CSI class one time, and it was really good, and it was taught by a sergeant for Fullerton PD. And sibling and I decided that we were going to share our stories. She was going to share hers and I was going to share mine. And and he asked me, he said, how are your parents doing with this? Because it happened when I was a kid, but I really didn't have these conversations with them till I was an adult, because there was so much guilt. And I told him, I said, they feel guilty. And I keep trying to tell them there's no reason to feel guilty. Now, the reason we were sharing is because we were in the part of the class where a lot of these kids are going to go off and they're going to be some kind of law enforcement. And Sibling and I really wanted to tell people, don't look at them as a victim. Look at them as a survivor and try to help them see that. Try to, empathize with them. Try to tell them, you know what, I'm going to do everything I can for you. Some things are out of my control, but don't look at them like they feel they're being looked at. Look at them with compassion and, again, empathy. And in that moment, he told me, this is why things like this that happen, they're terrible on the level of the person who is victimized, but also the family, because there's more than one person that's affected. And it was, to this day, my dad and I finally sat down and I said, you know what, I don't want you to feel guilty anymore. I said, I know it's hard. I know you feel bad, but it's like, don't. Why? It's not your fault. If it wasn't for my parents, I would have been a statistic, straight up. And that's not a lie. If it was not for my parents, I would have been a statistic. I was bullied in school because I was so different, because I was withdrawn, because I was, just different. My parents put clothes on my back, but it wasn't designer clothes like some of the kids in my private school had. And that didn't bother me because I saw the relationship with them and some of their parents. And I wouldn't trade that for the world, because I had and have an amazing relationship with my parents. Even when we could not see eye to eye, we always came back to our tiny family unit. We were 3 peas in a pod. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I would not trade that for anything. So, there's a lot to really kind of be learned in the healing. So I think the reason I felt so low this weekend was because I'm trying to be somebody that doesn't exist. So people are saying you're trying to be the person you were before the trauma. No, I'm trying to be a person that does not exist. And I think what's scary is it's literally like being a 6 or 7-year-old that's kind of finding their way in the world now, and they're going to school, they're making their own decisions, not making their own decisions, but like just the little playground decisions. And I feel like I really have to start from there. I feel, but at an adult level, I can't go back and be a 6-year-old for 30 years, right? You got to go back and, just kind of start from square one and just decide who you want to be, who you want the world to see you as, and don't change your vision of who you are. The world is going to see you how they're going to see you. But, what do you want to put out in the world? What do you want the world to see you as? Do you want them to see you as this light that shines really bright, or something else, And my goal for you guys is to help you see who you are. But I do love this quote. It's like, that person doesn't exist anymore. That person for me never existed. So for those of you who are like me, where that person never existed, let's not think so hard on it. Okay. I think that's where I keep tripping myself up, and why I'm getting very fidgety when I talk about this stuff. I want all of you to know, who are in my situation, that it's okay. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to live up to somebody's vision of who they think you need to be. You go out there and you do what makes you happy. You go out there and you be the person that makes you happy. Everything else will fall into line. The happiness you receive from others, the happiness you get from others, that's the bonus. That is the bonus in all of this. But again, your happiness has to come from the inside. And when we give up our power of happiness to somebody else, we're just hurting ourselves more. And we're kind of missing the whole point of what we need to be. And if you are a person who's been through trauma, or you are a person who's been through a lot of painful things in your life, and you're trying to be that person that existed before all of that, don't. Who you are in this moment is who you were exactly meant to be in this moment. I think for me, I even had a conversation on Debbie's group this weekend with another lady. And, her therapist said, stop, stop looking back. You're not going that way. And I laughed because I'm like, oh my God, my mom's favorite quote for me was, don't look back. You're not going that way. And that's all I did all weekend. I kept looking back and I kept looking back and I kept looking back. And then I realized that I'm looking back into a void, into just a tunnel of darkness. You know, I've spent all these years trying to become the exact person I am today in this moment talking to you. And I'm not going to apologize for her anymore. I'm not going to, you know, change who I am for anybody because I like who I am. Here it comes. Sorry. Oh, see, and I apologize. No, do not apologize for having emotions. It is okay to feel emotions. That's the other thing that this whole article was about, you know, having permission to feel your emotions. If you start crying in front of someone or you start crying, don't apologize for it. You don't need to apologize for being you. If somebody wants to call you sensitive, F them, okay? Who cares? Just say, you know what? I got tear ducts. That's why I'm using them. But it's like, don't judge me. It's like, you have no idea why this is making me cry. You know, and if somebody you don't know wants to judge you or whatever, let them. Who cares? Okay? I have been in situations where, you know, I have just burst out into tears. One of the situations was years ago. Sibling and I, you know, we adopt a lot of kitties. And as you know, we're roommates, as I've mentioned. And so, you know, we have little kitties, and one of them passed away unexpectedly, but he was the charmer of the group, and he's the one I talked about last week. And when I went to pick up his ashes, I went into the cat clinic, and that's what it's called, the cat care clinic. And, there was a lady sitting in there, and I was just trying to smile because it was so hard to pick him up. And, I told the lady, I said, I'm here to pick up Lucas. And she's like, okay. And she kind of gave me that look. And the other lady didn't know. And I just kind of turned because you could feel her looking at me, right? And I'm just smiling. I think she's waiting to see which cat comes out, right? And then the lady brings me his ashes. And I just burst into tears. And she just looked at me with so much compassion, you know. And it was just like, and I just looked at her and I'm like, I said, I'm so sorry. And she's like, don't be. She's like, don't be. We've all been there. We all have those moments. And, you know, she's like, and, you know, I wish you the best. I'm like, thank you. And I think she kind of looked like she was getting up to hug me, but I was just so upset. I just left because I just really wanted to get home at that point. And, but that's what we should do. We may not be able to solve somebody else's problems. We may not be able to comfort them in that moment, but the look of compassion and empathy, sometimes that makes people feel seen, and that validates their feelings. And that's what we need to be better at as humans. We need to not invalidate people. We need to not, you know, step on their emotions when they're feeling the way they are. You know, I mean, it's like when we're kids, like, oh, you know, are you going to start crying now? And it's like, yeah, maybe I am. I don't always cry because I'm sad. Sometimes I cry because I'm so fucking pissed. I don't know what else to do. And it's either crying or hauling off on somebody. And I'm not a violent person, so it's tears. Okay? I'm hitting you with my tears. Because, and I don't mean hauling off necessarily as a physical act. I mean just, you know, coming out with all the verbal assault. And a lot of times we have to hold all that in, and it just comes out. It comes out as tears. And, you know, and so, you know, don't always think that when you're talking to someone that they're crying because you've hurt their feelings. They may just be having a lot of negative thoughts about you in that moment. Negative thoughts that you will never want to know what they're thinking. Like, in my mind, I am beating the shit out of you. But, you know, so, well, thank you, Sammy. She's glad I have evolved into me. I am too. And I thank you all for listening and hanging in there for that, because I really, really feel like, I kind of worked that out with everybody while I was talking to you and with you. But, so anyways, it's getting kind of late. So let's do our self-love, day 14. One of the reasons I saved these two topics for today was because this. What would your younger self be proud of you for today? What would your younger self be proud of you for today? I think, here they come again. I've been able to hold them back, but I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to hold them back. I think, I'm trying so hard not to say I'm sorry. I think my younger self would be proud of who I am today. Because I survived a lot. I survived things that nobody should have to go through as a child. And I never became a statistic, except maybe as an emotional eating thing. I do eat my feelings. And part of that is, and my therapist and I worked this out years ago, one of the reasons that I emotionally eat is because I don't know how to, it was very hard to separate the old from the new. And, it's a wall. This is a wall I built up. It's a wall I built up. Thank you, baby sibling. It's a wall I built up to keep myself safe. And the problem with that wall is that I'm dying of loneliness. And by that I mean, you build up this wall and you're afraid to make changes because you're afraid to let people in because, you don't want to be hurt anymore. And, I know I played a part in all my relationships, but they all ended up badly. A lot of them just didn't end well. And it hurt and it broke my heart. And I realized that a lot of what I couldn't give, or maybe the fact that I overgave, was because of what happened to me when I was a kid. For years. And there was years that I hid all that stuff. And it's years that I didn't, tell anybody when it was over. And, my parents even used to tell me when I was a kid, if someone's inappropriate with you, you need to tell us. But by then, who knows you need to tell your child this when they're 3 or 4? My parents told me when I was 5 or 6 and I was going off to school. So, I just got a text from my dad. I hope your day is as awesome as you are. Love you. See, timing is everything. I know my younger self would be proud of who I am today. As Sammy said, who I have evolved into today. It's not easy to talk about these things. To be honest, it's more hard to talk about it because I don't want people to see my parents as bad people. They're not. It is very possible for a child to hide these things when they're groomed so young. And it is, you get so messed up in your head. And then you start believing the lies that, the person is telling you because they don't want to be caught. And, it's like I said, trust me, if I blame my parents, I would not be this close to them. And I would not miss my mom every day. And I would not text with my dad every day. So, I really like to make that point for all the new people that will always like to say, well, they should have known. No. I was Oscar worthy when I was a child. Very Oscar worthy. I just hid it because, like I said, they provided the safe space for me. They provided the happy side of me. But growing up, there was 2 of me. And eventually I had to learn how to combine the 2, heal them both, and then get rid of one of them. And the one I had to get rid of was the trauma one. Now, you might be asking, well, why are you crying then? Because it's still inside of me. And it's always going to hurt. But I think part of me is crying because when I was a kid, I never thought I'd get this far. And by that I mean, I never thought I'd be in a position where I could help people through my own experiences. And they were gnarly. I will not go into details, but they were gnarly. They weren't pretty. But I have a whole community on Twitter of people that are just like me. And a lot of times, you just want to reach out and say, hey, if I can do it, you can. But everybody has to heal at their own pace. and I see how far I have come, and I see how much my younger self would be so proud of me. So again, self-love, day 14. What would your younger self be proud of you for today? And maybe it doesn't go as deep as what I went through, what I was going through. Maybe your younger self is like, hey, we never thought we'd be a writer, but we are. Or, hey, we never thought we'd be an actor, but we are. Or, hey, we never thought we'd be running a company or running an office or, being like, aces at accounting and, owning their own business. I mean, maybe it's not that big. Maybe you're like, man, I never thought that I'd be this good of a parent, because maybe you didn't have that example growing up. My dad always told me that, because I asked him, I said, you are so different than your mom and dad. And he's all like, I wanted to make sure that when I became a parent, I gave them everything I did not have. And number one on that list, loving my child and encouraging my child. And same with my mom. I think my mom always knew she'd be a good parent though. But, we had our moments, but yeah, I mean, my dad and I had our moments. My dad's a Scorpio and they have the look. If any of you know a Scorpio, the next time you piss them off, look at their face. Okay. That right there will tell you why. I try not to piss off my dad a lot because that look alone, it just shuts your face. It shuts you down fast. So anyways, I will save the Rebel reading for last because that one's always fun to leave off on. Thank you for going through all this. I'm curious as to what this card says because I literally pulled these about 2 hours ago and just left them face down on my computer. So, casting spells. I don't make this shit up, okay? Casting spells. But let's see what it says. And look at little hearts. But the words I speak and the stories I tell are like spells. What I say and believe, I attract more of. So I shift my story from lack to abundance, from victim to empowered, and from complaint to gratitude. Now when I speak to others through my words, I am casting beautiful spells. I think that hit the nail on the head. I think that really hit the nail on the head. I shift my story from lack to abundance, from victim to empowered. I'm not a survivor anymore. I'm a thriver. Okay? I'm not a CSA survivor anymore. I am a thriver. I have gone and learned. I have learned how to go from surviving to thriving. And for every feeling, every painful moment I have had in the last 6 years, I would never, ever change it because I like who I am right now. Even over the weekend, I told Sibling as I was driving down the road to go pick up lunch, I came home and I told her, I said, because she's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, do you want to talk? I'm like, I have no idea what's wrong with me. But I said, I will tell you something. The world looks a lot different when suicide's off the table. And she kind of looked at me worried and I said, no, don't worry. I said, it's not allowed to be entertained anymore. Feeling like I don't belong in this world and that people don't need me, it's not allowed to be entertained anymore. Because whether I know people need me or not, I know that what I'm doing is helping somebody out there. And that's why I do it. God gave me a vocal box and lungs the size of Texas. Okay? So, or, for everybody that doesn't live in America, the size of Russia. Okay, huge lungs to just la 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 at you all day long. My parents used to call me a motor mouth. But hey, I'm turning it into a plus. I'm turning it into a working art of speech. So, anyways, casting spells. All right, so let's get to the Rebel deck. Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking apologize. Seriously, just do it. No, I will not apologize. That is hilarious. Okay, so see, I pulled this card and did not look. That is irony, my friends. That is what irony looks like. Okay, it's like, yeah, I'm not apologizing for myself anymore. Fucking apologize. Seriously, just do it. No. You gotta love these, and like I said, I do try to stay in my own lane, but I love my spirit guides. I know they brought this card to make me smile and to remind me that, it's like baby Sibling said, let the tears flow. And it was weird not apologizing for that, although I did for a moment. But, like I said, if somebody deserves an apology, give it. But if the sun didn't come up or fast enough this morning, don't apologize for it. Okay, if somebody missed the shot they wanted of the sunrise coming up, don't apologize for it. There's always tomorrow. The sun will rise again. Okay, the moon will rise again. So just, I guess, not apologizing for ourselves comes under the whole heading of self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-compassion. You know, all those things. They all have different meanings. Believe it or not, they all have different meanings. But, you know, they all come together to form one big thing to kind of lift you up above their heads and carry you on their shoulders. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to have self-compassion. We need to have self-worth. We need to have self-love and self-care and self-esteem and self-confidence and all those wonderful things of self. You know, it's not selfish to feel these things. It's necessary. Okay? So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Tomorrow is Tuesday Thoughts, and now that I shared both of my thoughts today, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But we always come up with something, don't we? Maybe we'll just go back to one of the card decks and just kind of wing it for, you know, not wing it, but just kind of have something set in stone for tomorrow. But anyways, thank you all for watching and for hanging in there with me. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all of you, you know, whether you're watching live or you're watching later. I do appreciate it. And to the person that shared that article, thank you. You know, I know you'll never see this, but thank you, because it was amazing. It was a great article. And to the person that wrote it, wow. She's also a Capricorn. See? Because we're amazing. But yeah, she put it in her article, guys. I did not Google her. But yeah, so, you know, it takes courage to share that kind of stuff. And, you know, it does. It takes courage for people to share their feelings. And believe it or not, it was a man that reposted that. So kudos to him. Okay. Kudos to him. And I'm not saying that because it's a guy, but because a lot of guys would read that and go, oh, seriously? Here's the feminist shit again. No, it's not feminist shit. Look around and see how much more women apologize. Look around and how many people women are told, well, you know, hey, why don't you smile? I don't see men walking around telling each other to smile. Okay? I've done it. It's like, hey, why don't you smile? They don't like it too much. But we're always expected to be a certain way. And, you know, it's, again, I'm not trying to step out of my lane here, but I really think it's a good article for men and women to read, because I think a lot of men feel the same way, that they have to apologize for things that are not necessary. You know, it's written from the standpoint of a woman, but I really think it kind of just covers human nature in general, you know, because people make snide remarks about anybody, especially nowadays. So we need to be better. We need to do better. And we need to treat each other better and be kinder to one another and stop looking at each other like we're better than everybody else. You know, I'm not saying that the people watching this do that, but we see it happen on the daily if you go outside, you know, if you step out of your home. So even on TV, you see it, you know. But anyways, again, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching and hanging in there. And I will see everybody tomorrow for Tuesday Thoughts. Have a great day.